The Philippines is being called Asia's rising tiger. But what exactly does this mean? Posting a GDP growth of 6.7% in 2017, the country has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, expanding at a rate unseen in the last 5 decades. The good news is, it's just getting started. The better news is that we have designed a brand new city to be the nucleus of this economic renaissance. Less than 1 hour from the capital, Manila, straddled by hills and blessed with tropical climate all year long. We are building the city of the future, a landmark development twice the size of Manhattan. Originally developed by the Americans for its secure and strategic location in Asia Pacific, Clark is being transformed into a disaster-resilient metropolis that will be competitive and attractive to a global market. It will consist of 4 main districts. The Clark Freeport Zone, an existing mixed-use complex established in the 90s. Clark Global City, which will serve as the primary business district. And New Clark City, which will house satellite government offices and a first-class sports village. Central to all of this is Clark International Airport, which will soon be expanded to accommodate up to 80 million passengers a year. This ensures that travel will be comfortable while trade is seamless. A city unmatched in connectivity, with access to world-class highways and the service of high-speed railways, connecting north to south and east to west, across surrounding seas and over oceans. Clark is a city built as living proof that business in this part of the world is not only easy, but simply better. With no red tape, lower taxes, and endless investment opportunities. This is a city prepared to attract talent so that the country's best and brightest will come here to work and choose to call this place home. Because this is a city that knows how to play, where you can unwind at your own speed, where safety is paramount, and people always come first. This is a city where history and culture thrive, where modern conveniences meet timeless traditions, and progress is driven by passion. This is a city with limitless ambition that may someday find itself among the great cities of the world, built for business so that time is always well spent, and built for people so that life is always well lived. This is Clark.
All right. Good day, everyone, and welcome to HR on the Go, where top trends and hot topics in HR and people management are coming your way. So buckle up and prepare for takeoff. HR on the Go is a joint collaboration of Clark HR Council and International HR Institute, airing live on the CHRC Facebook page every month. If you are interested in becoming a CHRC member, join us via www.clarkhrcouncil.org/join. In today's episode, I am joined by an experienced L&D professional, and we are going to be talking about being a Filipino L&D professional overseas. Well, as you know, learning and development is not a one size fits all. No, there are theories and processes that may be the same for a lot of L&D professionals, but we all learn in different ways. Some of us might feel more at ease in learning and group dynamics, whereas others prefer a quiet space to think. As individuals, we have different preferences and practices. And culture, of course, plays a huge part to this. And according to research, our cultural backgrounds influence our learning preferences. This includes everything from how we process information to how we interact with others in a training setting. Training can be tailored to multicultural learners' needs by recognizing these nuances. And of course, now to help us understand the impact of culture in L&D and how it is, being a Filipino L&D professional with such a different culture and background and working overseas. Let me now introduce to you our speaker for today. She is bringing in 12 years of learning and development experience. Now, it has been her mission to help ignite in her learners the same fire she has within, the passion for customer service. She is a believer of applying human centered design principles in the learning content that she develops for the light bulb moments that these create. She, of course, also worked with line managers to achieve the best outcomes for their people. She is a Philippine registered nurse, topping the 20th and the June 2006 nurse licensure examination. She is a member of New Zealand Association of Training and Development. And finally, she is also a certified learning and development professional. It is now my honor to introduce to you Miss Charm Manabat. Hi, Miss Charm.
Hi, May. Thanks so much for having me.
How's the weather up there?
Um, good. The past week's been gloomy, kind of cold, kind of warm at times, but that really happens when it's springtime. Pero ngayon, it's like
Mm-hmm,
it's really sunny, it's really warm. So a
mm-hmm,
lot of people are outdoors having
mm-hmm,
coffee in the sun. So it's
mm-hmm.
nice,
Do you meet, do
particularly
you do
today.
you do you miss the heat in the Philippines?
The last
The
3 months,
excruciating heat.
the past 3 months, I actually did. So because
Mm-hmm,
it was winter, like the
mm-hmm,
past 3 months. So you can't
mm-hmm,
really do anything. Like the skies are always gray, almost on a
mm-hmm.
daily basis, or like it's raining and it's just like so cold at night. So many things that I miss about the Philippines. And lately it includes the heat, the tropical weather.
When was the last time you were here?
20 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So
Mm-hmm,
it was in Feb that
mm-hmm,
we went for a holiday. We were there for 3 weeks and we made it
mm-hmm,
back here in Auckland just 2 weeks before they locked it down. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
yeah.
That's a really long time already. So I
Yeah,
I bet
matagal.
you're missing a lot here.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I have a long list of food that I want to eat.
so yeah, no, Miss Charm. First of all, thank you so much, no, for making time, no, despite the, of course, the time difference and your busy schedule. Again, thank you so much for being here with us to share your knowledge on being an L&D professional overseas. So
Yeah, happy to be here. Mhm.
before we start, Miss Charm, how long have you been an L&D professional?
About 12 years now. So
Mm-hmm.
13 years next year, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how about in New Zealand? How long have you been working as an L&D professional there?
So since I got here actually, so 2018 was no, hang on. Tama, 2018. I don't have my dates right anymore because of all the lockdowns and everything. Parang wala na
Correct,
akong
correct.
concept ng time. But yeah, 3 years. So close to
Mm-hmm,
3 years here.
When you got there, you were already working as an L&D professional.
No, actually,
Mm-hmm,
when we went here, my husband was the one who had a job offer. So
mm-hmm,
I left my previous role as an L&D specialist in uh, Major L. So Major L is now the name of the
mm-hmm,
company in Clark. So
mm-hmm,
that's where I used to work. So I left my career there. We went here. My husband started working, and my son was just starting out with kindergarten. So
mm-hmm,
I thought okay, di muna ako magwo-work. So I'll try to
Mhm.
enjoy muna this
Yes,
life,
correct,
this
correct. Mhm,
yeah,
mhm,
like this new country, this new city, try to
mhm, mhm, mhm,
explore and like learn everything about like everything like New Zealand. Um and then napaka-simple lang like what I wanted to do, which is I just wanted to be like a checkout girl at the supermarket. I I don't know. So
Correct.
yeah, I felt like I didn't want to do the corporate thing anymore.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
then a few months after that, okay, I thought maybe I should do part-time work at least and start
mhm,
there.
mhm, mhm,
Um and like I got so many letters of regret saying that
mhm, mhm, mhm,
okay, we didn't get you for this role because we need somebody with New Zealand experience, blah blah blah.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I
mhm,
did
mhm,
try applying for L&D roles a few
mhm,
months after. And then I thought, okay, maybe I should start from the bottom again,
mhm, mhm,
since
mhm,
they want somebody with New Zealand experience.
mhm,
And that's when I joined the previous company that I worked for, which is AA
mhm,
Insurance, as a
mhm,
customer service representative.
mhm,
So it was only part time, so maybe three like 3 half days a
mhm,
no no 3 full days a week, and then half day on the weekend.
mhm, mhm.
And then eventually, wala, parang pang L&D talaga ako because a few
Mhm,
months
correct,
after,
correct. Mhm,
a
mhm,
role opened up and I applied and I got it. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. So,
mhm. All right, let's talk about that, Miss Charm. How was the
mhm.
first few months of adjustment? I know that, of course, you took some time to adjust in the new place, but how was the first few months of adjustment being an L&D in New Zealand? L&D professional, rather.
It was hard, but I guess it was my advantage that I got to participate in that company's induction program as a
Mm-hmm,
learner. So
mm-hmm,
I was able to compare how we did things back in the Philippines versus how they do L&D here in New Zealand. So I got to observe everything. So I put together some notes like, oh, we
mm-hmm,
prefer like PowerPoint and lectures for hours on end. And here they prefer like getting the learners to stand up and move and interact and talk
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and experience the role that we are training them for.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So yeah, it was good to have that experience. When I had to do it myself though, so it was a struggle at first because
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
um of course I think it's the language as well. Like I'm pretty
mm-hmm,
comfortable
mm-hmm.
speaking English, but sometimes you want to express yourself in Filipino like when you get
Yeah, correct,
frustrated,
correct. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
or like
correct, correct.
you just want to talk to somebody and like have a rant.
Mm-hmm,
But like all my friends are in the Philippines. Like I do have some friends here, but
mm-hmm,
when you're
mm-hmm.
30 plus, like it's just a little bit more challenging to form those friendships because there's so much of like shared history that you've had with your
Correct.
other
Mm-hmm,
friends. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
yeah, it was a challenge at first, but
mm-hmm,
after 2 years of doing that in the company that I previously worked for, and when I
mm-hmm,
moved to my current role,
mm-hmm.
I feel like I was already able to adjust, and I feel like I'm a better L&D professional because of the challenges I went through in that previous role
Mhm,
and
mhm.
what I'm going through in my current role. So I feel more of like the actual expert that I am, I guess.
You mentioned something about, communication barriers, no? Minsan
Yeah,
kasi ako as an L&D professional, minsan talaga may mga bagay na mas madaling i-explain. In Filipino or in Tagalog, especially if you have, a Filipino audience listening to you. So,
100%.
yeah, diba? How did you how did you what's your work around with that, being, how did you start and all of that? Because of course we do have viewers out here, baka L&D professionals sila and they plan to, move out
Yeah, yeah.
abroad and continue their path in L&D.
I kept the same strategy that I had when I was still working in the Philippines, which is
Mhm, mhm.
even if I do like run my content in English, I still make sure to use like really simple words and explain it in a
Correct.
much more simple manner.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's easier for anyone who's listening to understand. And I guess eventually I was able to adapt to the different way that they speak English here, the different slang phrases that they use or
Mhm. Mhm.
colloquialisms that they use.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it's that, and still keeping the same warm personality that we have,
Mhm.
being
Mhm. Mhm.
Filipino,
Mhm. Mhm.
and using that, so I'm able to like connect with the learners. So I
Mhm.
made sure that um I may be the most like inexperienced out of
Mhm.
everyone in
Mhm.
that team
Mhm.
that I
Mhm.
joined 2 years
Mhm.
ago,
Mhm.
but I made sure to always be like the kindest, the most approachable person in the room, because
Mhm.
like it's not all about the content that you teach them.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
just feel that'll be a little easier for them to learn from you if they like you and they can relate to you. So yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. And Ms. Sharma, I appreciate what you said about keeping the warmth, the Filipino warmth. Though now I'm just wondering, what are the benefits naman of being a Filipino trainer overseas? I know it's these people are different. No, their culture is different.
Um, the the good thing I think is how we're so exposed to different, like people from different backgrounds or people of different
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
nationalities.
mm-hmm,
Um, because the Philippines, like we have many tourists,
mm-hmm,
and I think just the English proficiency that we have, um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
well, given that it's a result of colonization, but that's like a story for a different
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
But
Correct. Correct. Correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
like we're able to use that as an advantage. So it,
Mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm,
could make us more global. I guess it's easier for us to assimilate
mm-hmm,
because of that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think it's just the mentality that when you move to a different country, you want to make everyone proud. So I'm not sure kung ako lang yung nag-iisip nun, pero
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
I feel that for me, like wherever I go in this new country, um, I'm always representing like the people that I've worked with, the people that I've
Correct.
learned
Correct. Correct.
from, the people who have
Mm-hmm,
mentored me, the people that I
mm-hmm,
have
mm-hmm,
trained, and
mm-hmm,
like I still want to make them proud. Parang ganon. And of
mm-hmm,
course, like I'm doing everything for my family, so I want to
mm-hmm,
succeed not just for me or for my career.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's for my family as well. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah,
I think that's very Filipino. Like, say for example, we're gonna go to a different country. We'll be adjusting to their culture. We will adjust to 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 the people around us, and of
yeah,
course, we want to make our ourselves proud and all that. But I feel like no, I might be assuming this, but for other cultures, I feel like when they go to the Philippines, we have to adjust to them. We'll speak English for them. We won't force
that's
them
true.
to learn the language. We'll speak in English so for them. No, so now I'm just wondering, Ms. Storm, what's the main difference with regards to the culture of New Zealand to the culture here in the Philippines?
um, it's I think first one I can think of is they're just naturally more outdoorsy people compared to us. So
Mm-hmm,
like they're really into sports, they're really into rugby,
mm-hmm.
netball for females, and um, with
Even their learning, no, it's you mentioned a while ago that it's more of kinesthetic than
yeah,
presentations and visual. Yeah. Mm-hmm,
exactly, and I think like ever since like the lockdowns like played a lot. Like a big part and like realizing what the New Zealand, what the Kiwi, as they say, Kiwi culture is,
mm-hmm,
um, they they really made sure that they supported small businesses to keep them from closing, and
mm-hmm,
they focused on just New Zealand tourism when the
mm-hmm,
borders were still
mm-hmm,
closed because
mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm,
wanted the country to really thrive. So
mm-hmm,
that's one difference that I noticed. I think because like personally, like back to Philippines, parang like yeah, like you want to explore like the other islands, the other places to see back home, but we're more of what will it look like in Hong Kong? I want to go to Hong Kong. I want to go to the
correct, correct.
US. I want to
Mm-hmm,
go to
mm-hmm,
Korea. So stuff like that. So they're really focused inwardly. Um, they're really big into like DIY. So
mm-hmm,
doing
mm-hmm,
renovations, like they really prefer like to do that themselves.
mm-hmm,
And um, but essentially with like family ties, it's still mostly the same,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
at least for other like ethnicities, because
Mm-hmm.
here in Auckland, like there's different nationalities talaga, different ethnicities. So it's not just the Europeans, it's not just the Maori. There's also Tongans, like, or Pacific Islanders,
Mm-hmm.
other Asians, Indians like us, and yeah, I think for most or other cultural ethnicities, like the family factor is still there. So yun yung
Mm-hmm.
maisip ko siguro in terms of similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've met like Pacific Islanders who are also big fans of like our teleseries in the Philippines.
Really, really.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
hindi ko nga maalala yung mga shows that they're fans of, but I don't remember like watching them. But they're every time I meet someone from Samoa, for instance, are always like, "Oh, you're Filipino. Like your food is really good," or
Mm-hmm.
you love your family, or do you know Piolo Pascual who starred in like sa piling mo? Because what they did back then was they got like bootleg copies of like yung mga DVDs ng mga teleserye, and then they passed
Mm-hmm.
it on from family to family in the islands. So and
Grabe.
they watch it kahit wala siyang subtitles. So yung ganun.
Mm-hmm.
Um the difference siguro that I can mention is we like when our parents grow old or when our grandparents grow old, they stay with us
Mm-hmm.
sa bahay. Or like
Mm-hmm.
magkakasama tayo sa compound, mga ganun.
Correct, 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 correct.
Pero here, once like their parents grow old or like their grandparents, they put them into care homes or
Nursing
like
homes,
rest
yeah. Mm-hmm.
homes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, ang daming nursing homes dito, and like mukha silang mga, parang yung mga subdivisions sa bandang Pasig, parang gano'n.
Mm-hmm.
Ganun
Correct,
yung,
correct, correct. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, yun yung napansin ko sa culture.
Mm-hmm.
Pero wala na masyadong difference apart from that, I think.
I see, I see, see. So now, how with all of these culture differences and similarities, so how important do you think it is to understand the culture of the people in the new place, being an L&D professional? So in short, like how important it is lang to understand the culture of the people you train. Are they New Zealanders also, the people you train at work?
Um, yeah, pero like you can call them New Zealanders because they live in New Zealand, or you can call them
Oh,
Kiwis because
locals,
yeah, like
locals,
because
yeah.
they live
Mhm.
here. But we have a
Various
big
culture.
population of migrants.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I said, we get Pacific Islanders,
Yeah, yeah,
we
correct,
have
correct.
Fiji Indians, and then we have
Mm-hmm,
Indians as well, and then Asians.
mm-hmm,
But regardless, it is important to like you can always understand like all cultures kasi like sobrang dami.
correct, correct. Mm-hmm.
But I guess like if they've lived here for a while, it's like everyone's a Kiwi anyway. So and at the end of the day, it's all about kindness and being supportive as an L&D
Mm-hmm,
specialist and
mm-hmm,
helping them learn. So
mm-hmm,
one key thing in the company that I work with is the focus on empowering the Maori.
mm-hmm,
So the Maori, they'll be like what we consider they were the first settlers of New
mm-hmm,
Zealand, or
mm-hmm,
Aotearoa, as they call it.
mm-hmm,
And they were here before New Zealand was colonized. So
mm-hmm,
what we try to do, and this is something that I'm really super amazed with.
mm-hmm.
They use Maori words and phrases and include the words and phrases when they speak English, so that
Oh,
the language is
mm-hmm,
kept alive.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yun pa yung difference siguro. Kasi sa Pilipinas, parang pag nag-Taglish ka, parang automatic, hindi maganda yung impression.
Correct,
Parang
correct. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
maarte ka or pasosyal ka, but
Correct, correct.
in reality, when you're speaking Taglish, like, you're going global, but,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you're keeping the Filipino language
You're
alive.
and also you're
Yeah,
bilingual, ganon, no?
yeah. So, yun yung gusto ko, and every time Maori Language Week, hina-highlight talaga nila yun, like they teach us Maori phrases,
Mhm,
um,
mhm,
like,
mhm,
how do you say good morning, for instance, and they train the
mhm, mhm,
leaders to be inclusive of all
mhm,
that.
mhm,
So, one of the things that I really like.
mhm. I think that's one difference also in the Miss Storm because as you mentioned in New Zealand you do have a lot of migrants or different talagang various kinds of people. And like here in
Yeah.
the Philippines, I do training, but when I train people, they're mostly Filipinos. So
Mm,
if we do have one, say for example, we do have one French chef like that because I used to work in the hospitality industry. If
mm,
we do have a French chef, I'll be speaking in English, so everybody could adjust to the. I'll have everybody adjust to the language. So I think that's one difference talaga no in your place, most people talaga iba-iba. You do have Indians and all of that. So how is that for you when you train?
I really enjoy it. I enjoy telling other people about where I come from, what my culture is.
Really, really.
I
Mm-hmm.
also enjoy hearing from them kung ano yung culture
Mm-hmm,
nila. I ask them to teach me words.
mm-hmm,
I bring Filipino snacks sometimes in my
mm-hmm,
classes
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so they can try it. I remember for like a previous class that I taught, I brought the Romano's peanut brittle kasi kakabalik
Yeah,
ko lang
from
nun from
Baguio.
Pilipinas.
Mm.
Yeah, like, oh my God, they loved it. Like, the next time na pumunta ako ng umuwi ko ng Pilipinas nun, like, nagdala talaga ako and then I had them try it. So, I really like that. The last class that I had, for this current company that I work for, we had a shared lunch, and then a lot of them were from India, so
Mm-hmm,
they had or they prepared Indian food. So like
mm-hmm,
they really teach us like ganito siya kainin and all that. So I think that's a good thing. That's the really great thing about working with people from who have different cultures is
mm-hmm,
you get to experience more of the world.
mm-hmm,
And another thing is that dito, um, like no one really makes fun of you for for your accent, or if you make any, or if you have any errors with grammar and all that.
mm-hmm,
No one
mm-hmm,
cares. No one really
mm-hmm.
cares.
Mhm. I feel like no, it's because I of course I before I had plans to move abroad. Also, I think that's one thing also that I'm very worried about. Like, nako, I do have a Filipino accent, or sometimes I really want to speak in Filipino, and then yun nga, and then that's what I'm hearing a lot lately. Na parang they don't really care about your accent, and then parang if you want to teach a specific people, I think you just have to focus. But then, dun sa ituturo mo, rather than, alam mo yon kung paano mo
Yeah,
siya, di ba?
exactly. I think it's good that we're all able to like stay true to ourselves, or like to our
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
roots. Like um I was thinking before, because in the Philippines, I used to do accent and conversational English. I used to teach that in contact centers. So parang, this is the American accent, or this is the neutral English accent. Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then moving here, it's like suddenly I'm the one who has an accent because the Kiwi accent sounds very different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
So parang kakaiba siya. And then I took calls when I started out on customer service, and you get people asking you, "Oh, what is your accent?" And then I said, "Oh, I'm from the Philippines, blah blah blah." Um, and then like they go say, I forget what that guy said, but something like, "You're never gonna lose your accent." Um,
mm-hmm,
I'm like, uh, I think I'm pretty good at learning different accents, but also if I never lose this accent, it's fine because
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
no one really cares.
mm-hmm,
As long as they're able to communicate your thoughts, even if you have filler words, or
mm-hmm,
sometimes mag-expire ng English mo ganun, like
mm-hmm.
no one's really going to criticize you for it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't understand like why we care so much back home.
Mm-hmm.
Kung
All right, all
kung
right.
mali yung grammar, or kung sobrang Filipino sounding, because like here they don't care. I can't say the same, of course, if it's different countries. But here it's
Correct.
not so. Yeah, it's not such a big deal.
Actually, you know what, Miss Storm, before coming here right now in this interview, my notion was really that how was it kaya talaga? Is it that Miss Storm had to, adjust so much to like how people would, how people learn and all of that. But I realized that at the end of the day, you still have to, bring your culture with you. I mean, you just don't adjust to everybody's culture, but at the same time, you still inject the Filipino culture or the things that you've learned here to the culture there.
Yeah,
Di ba? Parang ganun.
100%. Yeah, it's not fundamentally different.
Mhm.
All the knowledge that you have as an L&D specialist, like you still use it. We still use the ADDIE model.
Adi model,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so we use human-centered design and
Mhm.
the principles of adult learning. Gamit pa
Mhm.
rin siya lahat. Um, I think it's just important as well, like what your personal style is or what your personality
Correct.
is,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
how you're
mhm,
gonna like let that shine through.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
it's important how you deal with people,
mhm,
how you coach people.
mhm,
Um, Probably one thing that was a big adjustment is like how we provide feedback. Um, if it's Filipino to Filipino versus if it's Filipino to someone from a different
mhm,
culture,
mhm,
because
mhm,
that's
mhm.
when you have to adjust to how they prefer to receive their feedback. Kasi
Correct, correct.
napansin ko, what I noticed is um, back back in the time na training specialist pa ako sa contact center, syempre importante tuturuan mo sila like how to pronounce and all that,
Mhm,
and you can be quite blunt about it and you
mhm,
can kind of make jokes about it.
mhm,
Pero dito not so much. Like I really like have to be mindful of how careful I am with the feedback that I'm providing.
mhm, mhm,
Because we don't want to I guess discourage someone
mhm,
um
mhm,
with the kind of feedback that we give. Yeah,
mhm.
naalala ko lang kasi because back then,
That's correct. That's
um,
correct.
naging friends ko pa din kasi yung mga tine-train ko dati, eh. So, parang ang daling sabihin na, "Oh, yung long E, short I mo," yung mga ganyan,
Mhm, mhm.
napagpapalit mo, ano ba. So, you can do that, but you
Yeah.
can't really
Mhm,
translate that to English and say it the same way to
mhm,
someone
mhm,
from a different nationality. So,
mhm.
that's a big difference, I think.
So while we're at it, no, Miss Storm, since you
Mm.
mentioned that there are different people out there, there are different nationalities. Are there any? I'll be straightforward with my question. Are there any discrimination or something like that with difference with race and all that?
Meron ba? Um,
Or again, it's a Filipino mindset lang.
um, siguro, um, bina-base ko lang 'to sa mga napapanood ko sa social media, ganyan. Parang I think compared to, like, the horror stories that we hear about
Mhm,
racism
mhm, mhm,
in the United States, for
mhm,
instance,
mhm, mhm,
I haven't seen I haven't really seen that here in New Zealand.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
well, there was that one guy, I'm not sure if you have heard of or remember what happened in Christchurch when a terrorist like shot down people who were praying at the mosques.
mhm,
That was quite a big tragedy here in New
mhm,
Zealand.
mhm,
That was the one time that I've observed such racism, and the
mhm,
perpetrator isn't even Kiwi, like he's Australian. So
mhm, mhm, mhm.
um, I think so far wala naman, or I'm just really lucky, maybe.
So you're saying parang the way they would listen to a Kiwi or a person of a person local there to the way they'll listen to you a Filipino is the same.
I think it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yun nga sabi ko, it's either I'm really lucky or maybe people are just very, very afraid to like show their racist side, maybe. So,
Plus I guess it also boils down to as you said a while ago to your personal style and all that since maybe baka
mm,
na-build mo na rin yung credentials mo, no, yung mga ganyan
yeah.
and kumbaga, credible ka na to really train them. That's why,
I hope
wala na rin
so. I hope so. And um I think it's because it won't be tolerated as well. Like in the
Mhm, mhm,
companies that I've worked for. So
mhm,
dun sa dating pinagtrabahuan ko, like they're big on company values
mhm, mhm,
and no one is really going to do that without consequences.
mhm,
So yeah, even so in the current company that I work for, like we strive to be like the healthiest workplace in Aotearoa in New Zealand, and to
mhm.
do that, like you really have to be values based, because health is not just your physical health mo, it's your mental health, it's your
Correct.
emotional health. And like to be able to be a high performer, like you
Mhm,
have to
mhm,
feel good, like you have to be excited to come to work every day. And if you
mhm,
have somebody in the company that's preventing you from doing that, then there will be consequences for them. So it's
mhm.
important then that the organization will not tolerate that kind of behavior.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Kumbaga company values also, and it also boils
Yeah,
down to
yeah,
what the company values, the organization, like how they
yeah.
value their people. Yeah, so that's very very great to hear. Now, I know that a lot of our viewers right now are planning to probably find a role in L&D. So what would L&D and overseas actually? What would be your advice to them? To me, actually.
Yeah. So if you want to work overseas, I think um just be brave and don't be afraid to start from scratch. Because the moment you step in a different country, mag-decide ka na na tumira doon, you're going to leave your friends, you're going to leave family, you're going to leave yung mga familiar na kinakain mo, na pinupuntahan mo. So, mawawala lahat yan pag nag-migrate ka. So,
Mhm,
you have to, parang, if you get any rejection letters for any roles that you're applying for, like, don't stop. And just don't be afraid to be a beginner again.
mhm,
Tapos pag may dumating na opportunity, while you are in that entry level role, I guess, like you still keep on sharpening the saw, or like enriching your knowledge, learning stuff. Tapos pag may mga training yan na ina-offer, pag may mga free training, sumali ka. Um, and then like invest in your own learning as well, like even if you have to be the one to pay for it, like save for it. It's like what I did when I got my CLDP certification. So
mhm, mhm, mhm,
hindi yung company nagbayad nun, ako talaga nag-ipon talaga ako so I can
mhm,
get that
mhm,
certification, and I want to keep doing that. And um yeah, I think being brave has taken me so far, living
mhm,
here and
mhm,
being in the position that I'm currently at.
mhm,
So there's also the not forgetting your roots part, that we've already established. So
mhm,
kahit ang dami mo nang matutunan, kahit like you meet different kinds of people,
mhm, mhm.
and you get immersed in a new culture, still don't forget who you are and where you came from. Yeah.
Okay, all right, all right. Now, you've said about being brave and not forgetting your roots. How about naman the competencies, Miss Charm? Like, what do you think are the competencies needed for an L&D professional working overseas?
Um, that's a really good question. I think being really tech savvy is important, um, because like the tools and the systems, like they're always changing, so you always have to adapt.
Correct,
So
correct.
parang dapat mabilis ka matuto, and like if you're good with Microsoft Office, for instance, it's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else? What
Because
other?
like before, no, Miss Charm, like we do training face to face, and then suddenly
Yeah,
pandemic hit. We all had to move to Zoom and mic and
exactly.
Teams and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, so I never really used to do virtual facilitation,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had to learn it when I got this role. Tapos bumalik ulit kami ng face to face. So parang culture change na naman. So from running everything virtually, like now you had to deal with people again and like all that stuff. So being adaptable to change is also important. And I think I won't say na specifically kung ano yung mga dapat na background knowledge about L&D na alam mo, because it's all easily like found, like when you Google it,
Correct. Mm-hmm.
where kahit
Correct.
like if even if you go to LinkedIn, for instance. So just that hunger for knowledge. Um, yeah, yun din siguro yung nakatulong sa akin because when I started with my L&D role, uh, not with this role, but the one before, nung early 2019, I believe.
Mhm.
I was going to the library, so nag-explore talaga ako sa Auckland Central. So I was
Mhm.
taking public transportation. I was walking. I found the library. I got myself a library card, and I looked at the section where they had all the personal development books and all the learning and development books. And I picked up that book and I borrowed it. And I was reading through it. Tapos na-realize ko, ganito yung exact kind of training that they were providing in that company where I was applying for that role. So like I really, really, sinapuso ko talaga siya. So yun yung nakatulong. The book is called Training at the Back of the Room by Susan
Mhm. Mhm.
Bowman. She also has a
Mhm.
website and she has some free resources. And they're useful strategies kung like how you're going to be an actual facilitator and not the
Mhm.
sole source of knowledge in the training
Mhm.
room. So
Mhm.
parang eto yung knowledge, eto yung content, but this is how I'm gonna like take everyone or put people in like positions where they're going to learn the content na sila yung nagre-present, sila
Mhm.
yung
Mhm. Mhm.
gumagalaw, sila yung um, like the ones who are immersing themselves into the knowledge. So yeah, but there aren't really specific competencies unless you're gonna go into nursing, syempre.
Correct,
So
correct. Mhm.
yeah, so completely different story. So
Mhm.
um yeah, pero personally looking back, kung alam ko lang na ganito na sa L&D din ako mapupunta, siguro I wouldn't have taken that course. Siguro nag-IT ako, gano'n. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Correct.
So, advice sa mga nakikinig diyan, like, huwag kayong mag-nursing, mag-ano kayo, mag-IT course kayo, gano'n.
You
Yeah,
know what,
so
Miss Char, parang lahat ng taong nakakausap ko na nursing, parang if you have an advice for a nursing, kunwari nasa college, ganyan, their
mm,
advice would be, wag ka mag-nursing.
oo. Like, I wish someone told me that before. Sa'kin lang ha, like of course, like I have so much respect from my former colleagues, na ngayon
Correct.
nagtatrabaho pa
Of
rin sa
course.
nursing industry. But eventually for me, hindi ko rin siya nagamit and then
Mhm.
I'm in a completely different role now.
Mhm.
Um, it's still somewhat helpful because I
Mhm.
work in health insurance, so health insurance yung tinuturo ko
Mhm.
ngayon. So
Mhm.
somewhat still helpful siya. Pero yun lang, sana nag-IT ako. I don't know why.
All right. So before we end, Miss Charm, in a nutshell, no, how different is being a L&D professional here in the Philippines versus being an L&D professional overseas?
I think that here we are not afraid to tell the stakeholder that it's not, or when it's not a training solution. When it needs to be like a culture change, for instance, or when it's
Correct.
something
Correct.
that the L&D department cannot solve.
Correct.
So what's usually happened, and I experienced this back in the Philippines, is the stakeholder comes to you, they have a problem in their department, and they want you to train.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time like we can't say no because that's our culture kasi sa
Mm-hmm.
Pilipinas.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that in the Philippines we're able to like have a conversation with the stakeholder and like work together and help them see that this is why it's not, or this won't be solved by training,
Mm-hmm.
but we can still help, but
Mm-hmm.
what our expertise will not solve your problem. So
Correct. Correct.
yeah, because I just remembered back then that I had to learn and teach the four disciplines of execution. So I had to create a
Mm-hmm.
deck. Um, I had to research on it. I had to read the
Mm-hmm.
book and all that. Like it's good for me because I learned
Mm-hmm.
something. But there were so many underlying issues in that department, and what I did like really didn't solve anything. So ano lang siya, nag-invest lang kami ng oras, but yeah, they still had the problem because what they needed really was like a culture change, and it had to be like top down. So
Correct.
yeah, I think that's one of the main differences. Are there any other striking differences? The second probably is that um, we need to hold our learners accountable sa Pilipinas, meaning like if you're teaching accent conversational English, for instance, get them to talk. Like, don't be the one, the only
Doing
one,
it
or the
all, yeah.
yeah, like being the sole source of knowledge in the training room na
Mm-hmm.
parang ito yung American A, ito yung ganito, these are nouns and pronouns and blah blah blah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let them talk like on a daily basis, yung talagang
Mm-hmm.
mag-conversation talaga sila para gumaling sila. So, how wish I did that para hindi ako masyadong nawalan ng boses noon.
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, yun siguro. So, we don't have to do all the work.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You have to let the learners do the work as well,
All
because
right.
they'll be all the better for it. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, Miss Charm. I've learned so much. I think, to our viewers watching us right now, culture is one thing, but at the end of the day, personal style, your behavior, your ways of teaching, and your roots, no, it still boils down to how you would adjust to your participants, but at the same time, how you would also deliver your presentation to them. So again, Miss Charm, thank you so much. I've learned so much. So sana in the future I also get to, experience what you're experiencing right now. It says, doing L&D not just for one nationality, but of course to a multicultural number of people and organization.
I hope so. I'm manifesting it for you right now. Tsaka salamat din. Like, it's really my pleasure. Like, I really enjoy sharing my knowledge with others. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Miss Charm. And to our viewers, if you are interested in, in the future going back to this conversation, you may visit this on the Clark HR Council Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. Again, HR on the Go is a joint collaboration of Clark HR Council and International HR Institute, airing live on the CHRC Facebook page every month. If you are interested in becoming a CHRC member, join us via www.clarkhrcouncil.org/join. Again, thank you so much, Ms. Charm, for sharing your expertise and knowledge and your own experiences in being an L&D professional overseas. With that said, thank you po.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, May. And if for the viewers they want to reach out and talk more or ask questions, you can reach out to me through LinkedIn. So it's Charm Manabat CLDP on LinkedIn.
All right. Again, with that, if you want to reach out to Miss Charm, you may reach out to us so we can, share her contact with you, or you may also reach out to her via LinkedIn. So again, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, May. Thanks, everybody.
The Philippines is being called Asia's rising tiger. But what exactly does this mean? Posting a GDP growth of 6.7% in 2017, the country has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, expanding at a rate unseen in the last 5 decades. The good news is, it's just getting started. The better news is that we have designed a brand new city to be the nucleus of this economic renaissance. Less than 1 hour from the capital, Manila, straddled by hills and blessed with tropical climate all year long. We are building the city of the future, a landmark development twice the size of Manhattan. Originally developed by the Americans for its secure and strategic location in Asia Pacific, Clark is being transformed into a disaster-resilient metropolis that will be competitive and attractive to a global market. It will consist of 4 main districts. The Clark Freeport Zone, an existing mixed-use complex established in the 90s. Clark Global City, which will serve as the primary business district, and New Clark City, which will house satellite government offices and a first-class sports village. Central to all of this is Clark International Airport, which will soon be expanded to accommodate up to 80 million passengers a year. This ensures that travel will be comfortable while trade is seamless. A city unmatched in connectivity, with access to world-class highways and the service of high-speed railways, connecting north to south and east to west, across surrounding seas and over oceans. Clark is a city built as living proof that business in this part of the world is not only easy, but simply better. With no red tape, lower taxes, and endless investment opportunities. This is a city prepared to attract talent so that the country's best and brightest will come here to work and choose to call this place home. Because this is a city that knows how to play, where you can unwind at your own speed, where safety is paramount, and people always come first. This is a city where history and culture thrive, where modern conveniences meet timeless traditions, and progress is driven by passion. This is a city with limitless ambition that may someday find itself among the great cities of the world, built for business so that time is always well spent, and built for people so that life is always well lived. This is Clark.